They say New York never sleeps, but for me, every morning felt like it woke up without purpose. I lived alone in a small apartment on the edge of Brooklyn, just a short walk from a fading dog park that no one really visited anymore. I was 72 and had lived a long life full of noise, but these days silence followed me like a shadow. I had lost my wife 3 years ago, and the loneliness wrapped around me tighter than my winter coat. I would sit on the same park bench every morning, just watching birds and the wind sway the trees, pretending the world still noticed me until she showed up. It was early, May, the air still holding onto the last chills of spring when I noticed her for the first time, a thin skittish dog with patches of white and brown, her ribs showing, her fur matted, but her eyes so deeply alive. I couldn't look away. She didn't come close, just stood near the gate of the park, eyes locked onto mine like she already knew me. I ignored her at first. Stray dogs were not uncommon here, but the next day, she was there again and again and again. Soon, she became part of my mornings. She never barked, never begged. She simply sat a few feet away, watching over me like some silent promise of company. I started bringing a second sandwich just in case she might want a bite. I'd set it down on the grass beside me and walk away, then peek from the side of my eye as she cautiously crept forward, tail tucked, but eyes still burning with curiosity. One morning, I finally said the words, "Daisy," and from that moment the name stuck. Daisy began to follow me home, not all the way, just to the corner before turning back as if protecting a boundary she herself didn't fully understand. I spoke to her more often than I realized, telling her about my wife, about the little shop I used to own, and the dreams I had forgotten somewhere along the way. Her presence started to breathe life back into those silent corners of my day, like someone had opened a window in a long abandoned room. One morning it rained hard, and I thought she wouldn't show up, but there she was, soaking wet, sitting under the broken roof of the park's tool shed, waiting for me like clockwork. That day, couldn't help myself. I brought her under my umbrella, shared my scarf, and we walked together. For the first time, not just across paths, but through something invisible that connected us. Something ancient and comforting. I never thought a dog could look at me with such knowing, such quiet empathy. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Saturday late morning, and the park was unusually empty. I was walking back home with Daisy, just a few feet behind, when a violent growl shattered the quiet. From behind a rusted dumpster lunged a large wild dog, its mouth foaming, its eyes bloodshot and erratic. It was the kind of dog you only hear about in nightmares. Sick, broken, desperate, and dangerous. I froze my breath, caught somewhere between fear and disbelief. Daisy didn't hesitate, not for a heartbeat. She charged forward with a cry so loud it echoed off the nearby buildings, slamming into the rabid dog with every ounce of her small body. She fought like something possessed, biting, kicking, pushing him away from me. I stood there, useless, shaking every inch of me, begging my legs to move. But all I could do was watch. The fight was brutal, loud, terrifying. Blood sprayed onto the pavement, fur flew through the air, and Daisy's cries cut into my soul like glass. Then there was silence, deafening, crushing silence. Daisy lay still, the other dog limping away, defeated, bleeding, but alive. I ran to her, knelt beside her, called her name again and again, but her eyes were fading, her breath shallow, her body trembling. I held her close, whispering "thank you" over and over into her ear until the light left her eyes. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. The scarf she wore that day still smelled like rain and fear and fur. I laid it on my lap and sat by the window, hoping somehow I'd see her come walking back just once more. Every shadow looked like her, every breeze felt like her tail brushing my leg. But she was gone. The days after Daisy died moved slower than anything I'd ever felt before. The city kept rushing around me, but I walked through it like a ghost. I stopped going to the park. I stopped eating that second sandwich. I stopped talking to anyone. The bench where we used to sit became just another forgotten place in the world, like a broken piano with no more sound. Neighbors left notes under my door asking if I was okay. I never replied. My niece called a few times. I let it ring. Every step outside felt like betrayal. like I was walking away from the last thing that made me feel alive again. A week after her death, I received a small brown package in the mail, no name, just a return address from the Animal Rescue Center. It was Daisy's collar, and a handwritten card from a nurse named Lily. Read, "She was brave, we tried, but her injuries were too deep. She stayed calm till the very end, as if she knew she had done something important." I read it again and again, then held that collar in my hands for what felt like hours, the metal tag still warm from memory. A month later, I forced myself back to the park. I didn't plan to, I was just walking, and my feet led me there. The bench was still there, the air was thicker, the grass taller. It didn't look the same, because I wasn't the same. I sat down slowly, resting my cane beside me, and whispered the name Daisy. That was the first time I cried like a child in years, but it helped. It broke something inside me that needed to break for light to get in. I started coming back more often, at first just to sit. Then I brought a notebook, started writing things I remembered about her. The first time she let me pet her, the day she walked with me in the rain, her last look before she closed her eyes forever. I didn't want her story to fade into just another pain had lived through. I wanted people to know who she was. Soon, shared her story online, a short post with her photo and what she did for me. I thought a few people might read it, but thousands did. Comments flooded in from around the world. People shared their own stories of dogs who saved them, healed them, changed them. I realized Daisy wasn't just my savior, she was part of something much bigger, something universal and human. Then a local school invited me to speak to the kids about animal bravery. I stood there in front of 30 wide-eyed children, holding Daisy's collar in my hand, and said, "Sometimes angels come in fur, not feathers. They don't speak our language, but they know exactly when we need saving." From that day forward, I made it my mission to share what Daisy had done. Every month, I spoke at shelters, schools, community centers. I helped raise money for stray dogs in the city. I made sure they had warmth, food, and someone to look them in the eyes and say, "You matter." 3 years passed. The pain softened, but never vanished. I still visited the bench on weekends, still carried her tag in my coat pocket like a lucky charm. Then one autumn evening, as the sky burned orange and gold, I heard a tiny whimper near the edge of the park. There, under a tree, was a small, shivering puppy, fur damp, eyes wide and scared. My heart stopped just for a second. I walked slowly, crouched, and extended my hand. It didn't run, it just looked up as if it had been waiting. Gently scooped it into my arms. It muzzled into my coat and let out a soft sigh. I whispered, "You're safe now, little one," and without thinking added, "Daisy would have liked you." As I walked home with the pup resting quietly against my chest, I realized something I hadn't known before. Love doesn't die with the body, it lives in the acts of kindness it inspires, in the lives it touches, in the stories it leaves behind. And Daisy, she didn't just save my life that day, she gave it back to me.